to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
And a good morning to you. It's February 4, 2020. And my sister's joining us from California. Hi, Suze.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this is the day of the State of the Union address. Are you going to be watching that?
No, I decided this morning that I was going to not watch.
I'm going to try not to watch. It'll be hard, but I think, I just...
Well, yeah, I think our mother will probably feel like she's duty-bound to watch. But
See, I feel that, too.
The man has absolutely nothing to say that I need to hear. It's either lies or nonsense, and I think the whole country should turn off their television sets. I think there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I think shunning would be a great response. Just turn off your television sets.
Well, it ain't going to happen. His approval ratings are up. I am increasingly thinking that the Democrats are so mucked up that they are not going to rise to... I wish I could pull out of this sense of total doom, but I can't. Even this screw-up in Iowa.
Well,
Can Democrats do anything right?
No one. Yeah, I know. I mean, the screw-up in Iowa, I'm so glad I decided to go to bed before they came up with the answer. Because when I woke up this morning, they still didn't have the answer. Lynn, this is why I just sort of am in a, let's get to November, then let's just remember the same thing, which is increasingly becoming the call to arms. Just everybody vote for the same, not Trump, period. That's all we have to do. And every time I hear someone say, well, but if it's so-and-so, how can I vote for so-and-so? And that anybody could ever think that Trump was the better answer the second time. It's just not, and so we have to do this. We just have to do this. I can't believe that it's as difficult.
Well, the thing is, we have Amy, could I have my audio up a little? I'm having trouble. I don't feel like I'm hearing myself. Not that that's necessarily something I desire, but I just think that, again, that there are too many people in this country that can't see beyond their own self-interest, their own noses. And so I think what happened last time is going to happen again, that if, for instance, Bernie doesn't get the nomination, there'll be a lot of his supporters that simply will sit it out. And the same perhaps for some of the others. I just don't see enough of us serious enough to realize what must be done. It's quite clear, even though we don't have the results from this Iowa debacle, that apparently there were as many as 4, possibly 5 candidates in double digits. That's never happened before. And let's just say it's 4. That's only happened, I think, once before. If that is true, it shows a Democratic Party in so many different camps. I think the Democrats, by virtue of being who they are, this diverse big tent party, have a great deal of difficulty uniting. There are people who are Democrats who bear no resemblance to other people who are Democrats. The Republicans, it's a totally different picture. Republicans are all on the same page. What's left of their party, they are all in lockstep. But Democrats, we're all over the place. And I don't know that unification is something that's going to come easily, if at all. And I don't know if we're going to arrive at the right answer to take on these shameless, do anything to win opponents we have. I feel such despair. I'm done thinking that, well, they can't possibly elect him again. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, we can. I'm sorry. That's where
No, absolutely we can. And that's why we have to not get tired, at 10 months before the election, and we have to hang in there and just remember what we're supposed to do. The problem is we're all so exhausted by the spectacle and horror of all this that it's very hard to remember that there's just one thing to do, and we all have to agree that we're going to get every one of us to do that one thing. I refuse to give up, Lynn. I refuse to give up.
Well, I'm not giving up either.
To give up on my country this easily.
I'm not giving up. I'm just by nature a pessimist, so I'm voicing my fears, and it's not as if they are founded in nothing. Yeah.
No, and I share your fears, but I just insist that because I'm your sister and I have a different brain chemistry, that we come at this from a different point of view, and that's to try not to get too exhausted, try not to get too desperate, try not to get too downhearted, and just remember the prize. And the prize is getting our country back. The prize is saving our country's life. So we all really have to double down because that's what we're talking about.
And people.
I really.
Excuse me. Do people realize that that what we have to do is not just get Trump out of the White House; it's to reclaim the Senate. Because if we put a Democrat,
we got to get all of those non-American out.
If we get a Democrat in the White House, but the Republicans control the Senate, which is quite likely, nothing will happen. We will be in the same state of stasis at best. I thought Schiff said it rather well, I think, yesterday when he said, we've been here before. We've been in politicized impeachments before. We've been a divided House coming down politically before. What's the difference between now and then? And he hit it right on the head. I mean, he said the difference between now and then is the people sitting in the Senate. Back then, they actually felt they honored their oaths. That is correct. I thought Schiff was, as usual, brilliant. I heard some of his last, his summation, his closing argument, and how any person could not be shamed, how any of these Republicans could not be shamed by what he says, shows what I've been saying for decades now. They are shameless. They are incapable of it. Krugman today went after them.
Yeah, I think, we had to apologize for using that term deplorable and for Hillary saying it. And you know something? They're deplorable.
Yeah.
This is deplorable. When you take an oath and sign a testament to that oath to show how much you mean that oath, knowing all the time that you're doing that you're lying, and that you have no intention of upholding your oath, I think, I don't know how those folks sleep at night.
Well, they do.
And when I hear their machinations, we think we're guilty, he's guilty, we just don't think it rises to the level of impeachment. You mustn't think that I don't see what's right in front of my eyes. I just don't feel the need to do anything about it because he won't do it again. I mean, if that's what they want to do, if that's the stance they want to take, that's fine. I hope they sleep at night. I don't understand how they could.
It takes a certain kind of person to play the kind of game these Republican senators play, and this is Paul Krugman's words. And the kind of person, he says, is a cynical opportunist, a cynical careerist. I think it's worse than that, but that's what he says. And then there used to be Republicans who were more than that, but they were, well, like John McCain. If he were in the Senate, no matter what you thought of him, I was up, down, cold, here, there, nowhere, but do you think he would not have been a vote for witnesses? He would have been.
No, of course he would have. You think Howard Baker wouldn't have done it twice?
But
yes, he would have.
But these men are dead and gone. I don't think Howard Baker's dead.
That's right. And the men and women that replace them are not the quality of human being that those people were. They cannot rise to the task. They see no greater good. When in the last 50 years, we have taught ourselves that only ourselves are important, and to hell with everybody else. That's from give me my you're tired, you're poor. We've gone to screw you. I'm the only person in the whole universe that counts, and I'm acting accordingly.
Yeah. Krugman,
I can't live that way.
No, I understand. Krugman says, I guess you might have hoped that there would be some limits to what these people would accept, these Republicans, that even they would draw the line at gross, obvious abuses of power and collusion with foreign autocrats. What we have learned, however, and perhaps more important, what Trump has learned, is there is no line. If Trump wants to dismantle democracy, if he wants to dismantle rule of law, which he does, his party will stand with him all the way. Which is true. We know this. Which is why anyone who votes for any Republican is insane right now. We have got to crush them.
You need to examine what you think your country stands for and whether you agree with that. And what it's always stood for. It's Well, and on top of that, Willie Wood died.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a former Green Bay Packer of the Lombardi era. A good guy.
Yeah,
Number 24.
Part of the defensive line, right?
Yeah. Wow.
First black player to be a head coach.
Was he?
Just a good guy, and to be a coach and then a head coach. Yeah, it was in the old World Football League, and then and then in the Canadian League.
Oh, but not in the NFL.
No, he was an assistant coach for the Chargers.
All right.
And also, I think that was the first one. But he was little. He was 5'10", but he was fast. And Lombardi, and he was a quarterback in college, so he wasn't even drafted. I think his whole story is interesting because at that time, black folks weren't allowed to be the quarterback. So if you played quarterback in college, no one even looked at you. And he just sat down and wrote letters to NFL teams, and Lombardi was the only one that took a look at him and signed him. And boy, was he glad he did. So I'm telling you the story because one of the cute things in the obits was Ray Nitschke, who was the scariest looking guy. Big, 6'4".
No, he wasn't, Susan. He was not. These guys weren't that big. They weren't like today. Nitschke wasn't. If he was more than 6'1", I'd be surprised. He was scary.
Well, he was bigger than. He was scared of Willie Wood. He said, "Boy, I don't." He said, "Boy, I don't want to miss a tackle because Willie gives me a look, and I know he's mad at me." And this was this big, scary Ray Nitschke who was afraid of Willie Wood just looking at him.
No, the last time I saw Ray Nitschke was at the the golf course, and he looked. This is a long time ago. like a tiny little old bent over man.
Well, by then he was probably that. But when I was a little girl, I thought I saw our father, who was bald, as was Ray Nitschke, sitting at a table in a restaurant, and I went running up to him because Dad always looked like he was a golf ball on a tee from behind. He had this neck with this round bald head coming off of it. And I saw that head and that neck across the dining room, and I went running up, and as I liked to do when I was a little kid, I liked to kiss him on the top of his head and give him a shock. And I ran up to his head, and I kissed him on the back of his head, and I gave him a shock, and who turns around but Ray Nitschke?
Who got the shock? Ha, ha, ha. Did you run screaming?
I think I probably started crying. It was the most terrifying moment of my life.
Oh, I'm sure he was nice. He was a nice guy.
Oh, he gave me a big smile.
Yeah, but Jesus, God.
Stammered something about, you're not my dad.
Aw. Well,
anyway.
Okay.
Growing up in Green Bay, folks, those were the sorts of things that happened to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know what to talk about here. I'm looking around at all these scraps of paper I have, and one is more awful than the next. So, could we talk about, unless, if you guys want us to continue to talk about whatever, political stuff, we can, but do you have that app, Nextdoor? Susan?
Maybe no.
Well, I think it's called Nextdoor, right? And it, you join in neighborhood groups, right? And
yeah, I have that. Yeah, yes. I just didn't know that's what I
think
am
that's
a
what it's
member
called.
Of my neighborhood group in
Nextdoor,
Chicago.
right. Okay, so I forget about it a lot, but every once in a while I look, and in this time when we have such wrenching concerns, I can't get over the fact that people, at least in my neighborhood, are talking nonstop, trading posts and insults and rage and arguing about disposal of dog poop bags. And literally, hundreds.
And boy, are the
different
in different cities.
It goes back and forth and back and forth. And there are people who literally think dogs, apparently, should not.
Not shit, right.
Well, or pee. That they are mammals who, for some reason, are not allowed to rid themselves of waste products. The people who put those signs up in there of a, defecating dog with a X through it and stuff like that.
Yeah, but right. I always smile at the person because let me tell you what those signs do. A dog looks at them, sniffs it, and pees on it. I mean, that's like it's an absolute pee attractor. And if the owner's looking at it, glaring at me, I simply say my dog can't read.
I mean, look, they got to go somewhere. So people who don't pick up after their animals, I agree, are just disgusting, outrageous. But the biggest complaint, Susan, is people are complaining that those of us who do pick up and bag it and tie it in a little ribbon, and then see an open garbage can on our way that might be
and put it in there. Right, and then how dare you?
How dare you?
Well, let me tell you what the city of Chicago says about this.
Oh, good. What?
Because my garbage cans are located in an alley in the first available place off an alley off a Chicago alley, which is off of the sidewalk. And let me tell you, everybody that has a dog bags it and walks to the first available garbage can and puts it in.
Yeah.
And I started out being angry about that. And I called the city of Chicago because people are messy about it. They miss, and they leave me a terrible mess to clean up around my garbage cans. That's a separate problem. But I called the city of Chicago about this. I said, what is the rule about garbage cans? And they said they are owned by the city of Chicago. Anyone may put anything in any city of Chicago garbage can. And I said, well, that's if it's sitting on city property, right? What if it's on private property? And she said, well, that's a different issue. That's trespass. And I said, okay, I just wanted to know what my rights were in the situation. They don't have a right to cross into my yard to use a city of Chicago. She said, no. And I said, fine. But I'm pretty sure that that's what every city deals. They don't give you your garbage can.
No, but we don't but we don't have Pittsburgh. They are our garbage cans. We don't have. What do you have? Those things where they?
There's a different wrinkle there then. But you know what I do? I try and use public cans.
There aren't enough.
So if I'm in a park, the park cans,
right.
Stuff
Not
like
enough.
that. Because they get emptied more often than
It's
your
just,
own cans.
I
at
mean,
home.
people getting so worked up about such.
It's bad food. Big deal. You have rotten food in your garbage cans. What difference does it make? It's all the same thing, by the way.
I don't.
Processed food.
Yes, it's processed food.
I don't know. Yes, people get very angry about that. You don't have a right to use my can. You don't have a right to use any can. Your dog can't pee on my flour. Your dog can't, you didn't clean up all the poop. What I'm always amazed by, though, is that it seems to be always only owners of these huge animals that just let that animal poop, rather extravagant amounts and walk away. I can't even imagine that.
Extravagant amounts of poop. Well, okay.
And then there are those absolutely
she's off and running.
souls
See, this is why this
who walk around and pick up other dogs' poop.
Yes.
Do you see people like that?
Yeah, I once did, but that was it. Anyway, let's not. But see, you're warming to the topic, and this is why
Let's not talk about
of
poop.
all the things on that Nextdoor thing, nothing apparently resonates as much as people's opinions about dog shit. It's as simple as that. Unbelievable.
So people get so mad at you that they just yell at you anyway. I mean,
Right.
I always pick up after my dog.
Yeah.
And a woman was just driving down the street and yelled at me, "You pick up after your dog." And I'm going, well, excuse me.
Okay. So I will now move on from, I want to share an email I got, a little bit of one.
Well, at least you get emails again. That's progress.
Yeah. It says...
You have to look on the cheery side of things.
Yeah,
Yes,
but listen
go
to
ahead.
this. It says something when the best news I have heard in months is, and I'm quoting, that Rush Limbaugh has advanced lung cancer. I have had several...
Yeah.
No, wait. I have had several people who have suffered from cancer, so I would not wish it on anyone. Having said that, there is a Mikado-esque justice to what he's facing. There is so much a part of me that will say when he goes, good riddance. This is always, I will not mourn his demise, and I'm not going to waste my sympathies. But
There's a line between doing that and jumping up and down and going hip, hip, hooray.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I wouldn't wish that suffering on anyone.
No.
I would wish he would go quickly. No, I don't wish particular sufferings on any given person. But I will not mourn the loss of his voice. let them live. Let them just not have the wind to keep
Well, I don't
blowing
think
that.
I don't think he's going to live,
blows.
but it doesn't matter. He gave rise to so many others that
Yeah,
his
they're standing in line ready to take his place.
yeah
Not
his
like
legacy
this-
will live on. God, and good riddance. So I want to talk about one of my favorite bugs, and that is a firefly or lightning bug. What do you call them?
Both.
You do? I think I do too. Fireflies or
Yeah,
lightning
it just
bugs.
depends on what comes. It just depends on what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think I use both
I
too.
think I probably usually go with fireflies first, but lightning bug comes out with.
I think that's what we call
Some
them as
frequent.
kids. I don't remember seeing a lot of them up in Wisconsin. But when I moved here to Pittsburgh, I was blown away on some summer nights by the display in my backyard. And I have noted that those displays have dwindled. I still see them, but nowhere in the same numbers. And now I know why, because there was a study published in a scientific journal that came out just yesterday. And lightning bugs, fireflies, are yet another species that we're, by our presence, destroying. Not only are they, the usual insect problems caused by us, habitat loss, pesticides, pollution, but for lightning bugs or fireflies, when they're doing that display that so freaks us out and so wonderful, it's the males signaling to the females, hey baby, here I am. And the females answer back with their lights if they are in the mood as well. So this is how these bugs get together and procreate. And what's in the way is light pollution.
Yeah,
They
can't see each other. I knew you were going to go to that. They can't see each other.
they can't see each other like they used to. So they're not getting together. And they're dying out. Also, if they die out, as usual with these things, the food chain, birds will lose the bugs that they like to eat. And, insects, we so discount them. They provide so many services that we can't live without. They are
We need all of our creatures.
Yeah. So anyway, it also disrupts the feeding patterns of the females. So there you have. Turns out there are 2,000 types of fireflies. They're all in trouble all over the world. It's not just here. And
Maybe this is a job for the tortoise. He could come in, do his song and dance, and draw all the light to him.
Aw, I hope he's happy. Anyway, so I just wanted you to, and fireflies, it turns out, are technically a beetle. Just so you know.
Yeah, they're ugly if you when you see them in real person.
Really? No.
Yeah, they're just these black buggy things.
No, with those wonderful fluorescent, those little green things hanging off them. I don't know. Anyway, David writes in regard to Limbaugh, I'm indifferent to his plight, but at least he'll finally shut the fuck up. Well, yeah, people are writing in good riddance. Yeah, not a lot of
sympathy
pity
out
or
there.
sympathy. No, because he is so.
It's still oncoming. We're just going to note with interest and good luck walking your road, Rush. That's as much as I can muster.
Another email here. During the 2016 election, everyone was giddy because they thought having Trump as the Republican candidate would be the end of the Republican Party when he lost. Since the election, it has been the opposite. It is the destruction of the Democratic Party, and it has come from within. Trump will win in 2020 because of the inept lack of leadership in the Democratic National Committee, or the fact that no one in the party will follow the DNC. Well, it's got to be one or the other, or they're either corrupt and incapable of winning, or they know how to win and we won't listen to them. I increasingly...
Or the only way we lose is by sitting around and punditing ourselves, into inaction.
Into the circular firing squad. We're going to be going after each other, but that's what the primary system. That's what the primary system creates. And some people never forgive, never get over bruised feelings, and can't return to the fray. By the way, something interesting that did come out of the caucuses yesterday is that turnout was down. Now, if Democrats are supposedly so fired up, how come there were fewer caucus goers than there were, quite a few, than there were in 2000, I don't know about 16, I think when Obama ran. People were excited. They came out. I think it's because they don't know. They don't know who to vote for. They don't know what to do.
Everybody's sitting home and waiting to be told who the candidate is, and then that's who they're going to vote for. And if that's what they're doing, that's fine. Just vote.
Oh, God. God almighty. Okay, so while everybody's freaking out about the coronavirus, again, I just want to let people know that we never worry about the things that we've just grown accustomed to avoiding or not thinking about. And that is the flu that is here already. You know, the flu season, it's here. It's upon us.
That kills hundreds of people every year. Yeah. And
thousands.
And most of you don't even bother to go out and get your flu shot.
Listen, last year, this year, and the flu season is not over, there have been 180,000 hospitalizations from the flu. How is that not the huge story? And we're worried because of this new...
Well, it is actually.
There have been already 10,000 deaths. There have been already 10,000 deaths this flu season and 68 children dead. And people are freaking out because, did you hear? One more person showed up with the coronavirus. And by all accounts, the coronavirus is no worse than the thing that's flying around right now and really killing people. There'll be 19 million cases this year. What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yesterday we were in a room, Mother and I, probably about 300 people. And there were several doctors in the room, and a doctor got up and took the microphone and said, I know you're all concerned about the coronavirus, but may I suggest that our more immediate issues are the really crummy flu and bad cough that are going around right here, right now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to tell you what to do for all of those things.
Right.
He said, if you don't feel well, stay home.
People don't.
All 300 people immediately started cheering and clapping. And then he said, and sneeze into your elbow, sneeze and cough into your elbow, not your hand. And
wash your
and
hands. Wash your hands a lot.
Often.
And for at least 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Right.
20 seconds and soap. And and that's it. And the other thing is you can wear masks all you want, but if someone sneezes around you and it hits your eye, you're infected. So if you want to wear a mask, maybe you should wear goggles as well. And also, do not touch your face. Now, having said that, I defy you not to touch your face.
I touch my face every 5 seconds. I'm always got my fingers in my eyes. I'm always like anybody.
And I have a finger in my mouth.
Yeah.
So it's impossible. And then just remember how you got over your case of SARS the last time this happened. Wasn't it terrible, our case of SARS?
Oh, yeah. Hey, we were talking about all the things.
You remember that?
All the things we were so scared about. SARS, Ebola, killer bees. What were all the other things we came up with?
I don't know. I had a friend call me and say, you have to get this kind of mask and this. And I said, honestly, I'm more worried about a violent mob ripping me apart because I'm a Jew. It's, statistically more probable that an angry mob will get me than I'll die of this virus. So, I'm just not that concerned.
I don't know that either is very likely, Susan. Seriously.
No, but that because I boxed and I'm going to take care of myself. And I have
you're gonna
very ferocious dog.
Okay. Oh God. So, what else I got here? I'm so not inclined. Oh, did you see the Super Bowl?
I did. And did you already have your argument about whether J-Lo was empowering or a prostitute?
No, well, I don't think she was empowering in some respects. I don't think she was a prostitute, but I am sick of people's crotches being shoved in my face. I was thinking more about it. I have never seen so many crotch shots of a woman on a national stage like that, where in fact she would go right up to the camera and that's all we saw. I mean, if without that little strip, God knows, I mean, it would be a gynecological exam. And when did we, and I want you to know also that would have been, that would be choreographed too. Not for women so much. I mean, the men grabbing their crotches was one thing, but the shots of, the shots of her crotch were choreographed. I want to be clear about this. Every shot,
it's all choreographed. Yeah.
Every shot has been rehearsed because there's one thing to do the thing there in the stadium. It's another thing for what are we presenting to that massive audience on television. Every shot is known. And that they decided close-ups of her crotch were important. Shows, I don't know, how little we have gotten away from women as impossible sexual objects.
J-Lo did not pick the shots. That was probably some male director over there.
Well, I don't know. No, she had to. No, I disagree.
I reacted totally differently to that show. I just looked at Mother when it was over. I said, "Gee, that was one of the best halftime shows they've had in a long time." I thought the kids were amazing. I thought the message was rather interesting. I thought she was coming out and being really clear about her message of power and strength and don't come after
I loved a lot of what she did in regard to Born in the USA, and the the for
kids in cages.
Was there kids in cages? What?
She had kids in beautiful floating cages, singing, Say It Loud.
There was a lot of that.
She was very political.
Susan, the over-sexualization of our culture is repulsive to me. I'm sorry. And if I sound like an old fart, so be it. Would you want, seriously, for children, for little girls, hey, little girls watching this idea of what a woman's body's supposed to look like, well,
my granddaughter who never gets to watch TV, I have a movie of her standing in front of that screen in her diaper, dancing away, shaking her little hips. I don't have a problem with this. I really don't. It's dance. It's celebration of a beautiful toned body. I don't have a problem with that. Why can't we just look at her and appreciate her and not take away from it the fact that you're supposed to, somehow
because I'm sick of women. Listen, I am sick of women. Susan, why do women have to perform almost naked? Why? What is that about? Those rappers that came in, the men, they were garbed in so much clothing you couldn't tell if they were, whatever. Why are women's bodies to be on display? I'm sick of it.
Well,
I'll
tell you,
and we've all now just accepted.
I think that J-Lo made that decision for herself.
No, she worked. Susan, J-Lo wouldn't be J-Lo if she had a normal body. J-Lo's work requires her to have that body.
And she works really hard at that
I
body,
bet
so
she does. You betcha.
She shows it to you.
No.
And she shows it to you.
It is so...
It's a...
No.
I don't know.
No.
I do not have this response.
No. I find it... I just... Popular culture just sickens me. It sickens me. And I, too, said after that show, I turned to my son and said that was a hell of a halftime show. It was. But that is said in the context of what our culture considers entertainment now. And it is vile to me. It's popular culture. But I guess that's almost always been true. What the population, but the sexualization of women, the women's bodies. If you think, yes, it's a little bit different than it used to be. I thought I sent myself this thing that I think it was in the Washington Post, some woman did write about it.
Jennifer Warner. She did write about it.
And she comes down sort of on, like, was it this, was it that? But the fact is, I find it just pathetically shallow.
But the point of her article was that I thought she was very clever. She wrote about there being a sign at the amusement park, too hot to ride. You have to be, this hot to ride this ride. And that women look at those people on the screen and compare themselves to them and see themselves coming up short. She says, the old fat guy with the pot belly sitting next to me on that ride at the amusement park doesn't see any sign that says, are you hot enough to ride this? And when he's watching the football game, he's not comparing himself to those young muscled people on the ground. He's just watching it. So what she's saying is just stop comparing you. That's the specimen. So it
falls to women. Wait a minute. Women are trained from day one to compare ourselves.
Well, so let's stop that.
How do men get let off the hook? Although less so than they used to. Now you've got, the
but
metrosexual
I mean,
man worrying
now
about
men
all
get
of his.
plastic
Yes,
surgery, you
right.
idiots. Honest to Pete.
Well, listen, no. It is not for the women to stop. It is our culture is misogynistic in every way, and I'm sick of it. And we get little things
I am
about,
too.
how empowered we are because this, that, and the other thing. Because, we are not. It's bullshit.
We are not
We've come,
empowered.
it's like the Virginia Slims
as long
ad.
As they sew, Lynn, as long as they sew the pocket shut on women's pants, we are not empowered.
Yeah.
It's one of those little things that shows that they are constantly, quite literally, saddling us with things to carry.
No,
Men get
it's
pockets
women.
and have to tote a purse.
Women don't buy pants often with pockets because it makes their hips look a little too big. Women are under constant stress to measure up. And those naked, gorgeous women's bodies thrust in the faces of all of us do not make women feel better. They do not. They make men horny. They do not make women feel better. They
don't
make
me
us
feel
judge
worse,
ourselves. We judge ourselves. And we are found almost to a woman wanting. Almost to a woman. How many, I look at my body from like when I was, a teenager, and I think, look, I hated every square inch of it. I was taught to. I don't know many women who don't feel the same way. That is a cultural thing that handicaps us. And now there's this new thing that we're supposed to at 50 look like Jennifer fucking Lopez?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the point of that article is that your average American man really doesn't look at these gorgeous exemplars of manhood and feel any expectation that they're supposed to duplicate that. And I just suggest that one of the easiest ways to get over this kind of patriarchal nonsense is just cut it out.
No, because that puts all the burden on the woman. Again, living in this culture, telling her that she has to do something with her hair, do something with her skin, spend money here, spend money there, buy more clothes than men have to buy more shoes than men have to buy, pay more to have those clothes cleaned, do this, do that. Women, no, the culture is anti-female. And I don't see women.
Yes, it is.
Well, right. Listen, this is just an old feminist ranting. It is, I don't get.
No. I do this all the time, and I absolutely agree with you. But one of the ways that I just have changed the way I live. I don't carry a purse 90% of the time. I only buy things that have pockets in them so that I don't have to carry a purse. I don't wear makeup anymore. I don't fool around with my hair anymore. I do buy myself adornment, but that's because I like it and I enjoy it, and not because anybody's telling me to. Yeah, there are things that we can do.
Yeah, but Susan, I agree. Well, I stopped coloring my hair. I just pull it back. I don't pay for hair stuff anymore. All that kind of stuff. Yes, but I want to point something out. You and I are old women. Okay? We don't have to play this game anymore. But we sure as hell did when we were of an age. We are not looked at as sexual objects anymore by virtue of we aged out. God, women age out. That's why the first thing I did after that halftime was I Googled how old is Jennifer Lopez, because that's the thing I loved, that's a woman 50 years old and Shakira's 43.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, God bless them and beautiful, this, that. No. The fact is a 50-year-old woman, a 43-year-old woman in this culture, a regular woman, not a star, are discardable. Discardable in our culture. Well,
Of course.
yeah. Well,
So are most men, by the way, in our culture.
Most men.
Yeah, they're interchangeable cogs. I mean, men don't have it so easy either. But
Wait a
being
minute.
this
Susan,
society is-
my head's going to explode. You're the one who's on this show regularly excoriating the male gender. And now here you are saying men don't have it so easy either. Humans
well, they
don't,
got their own
okay?
stressors. I mean,
Yeah.
So I think it was, I don't know, in Sweden or Netherlands, one of these places where they did this. I think we talked about this, where they did this, where they removed the gender pronouns.
Yeah.
So that and this, I mean, they did it countrywide, and so it had a profound effect on the society, because when people are applying for jobs and things like that, you don't know if you're a man and a woman necessarily. I mean, they took it really to a very far level, and what they found out was that gender equality followed, and that what followed from gender equality is that men became happier because they were less stressed. So both the position of being the enslaver, but the poor enslaver is stressed too, just like the enslaved. Not to say that I appreciate being the enslaved.
a white guy in this country, say we'll make him 45. He's working a job where he is no king. He is, taking it on the chin out there in the wonderful American workplace. But what does he get to do? Right. He gets to lord it over, in general, the woman at home or the black guy, across from him. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not wasting a lot. It's true that there are, at the top, some white guys. And that's the truth. And there's a lot of white guys taking it on the chin. That is true. But then they kick the people perceived to be under them, and that's women, and that's minorities. So I just, listen, I just want to say that
I don't know. I'm with the other broads that are back to pushing the ERA. I started talking about that about a year ago too.
Like that's going to help us. Do you think really that makes a goddamn bit of difference?
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
Of course. Well, it did last year before in the ensuing year we got rid of the rule of law. It used to make a difference.
Oh, God. I might need to go away again for a while. I am just not in a good place.
Come visit me in California. I am doing 10,000 steps before noon most days.
Well, good for you, Suze. I can barely move at the moment. Well, good. And when your body's working, enjoy it because it can stop. I don't know.
Poor Lynn.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of pain for 2 weeks. Something went out in my back. I mean, the dog looks at me trying to get out of bed in the morning with a look of like, as I, let out little screams trying to, this happened to me about 3 years ago, and it's going to take a while. But so, yeah, I can't dance now. Gigi writes, I am loving the conversation between you and Susan about women and our body images. I have mixed thoughts about the halftime show, but ultimately I am sad that this is what passes for female empowerment. It's still the same old for the male gaze. I'm sick of it. By the way, I recently found pants with 6 pockets, and they're nice. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
I am wearing,
two in the cushions, down the thighs. Right?
Look at this. I am wearing, a top. I am wearing my pants. I don't have a pocket on the top. No pockets. No pockets. it's not. And men, can you imagine that? This is what women deal with. Jesus.
Well, I absolutely now. I will say I no longer buy clothes that don't have pockets. I just don't.
I love that your daughter's wedding dress had pockets. Who ever heard of a wedding dress with pockets? Yeah, it had pockets. So Milton.
That's my daughter.
Yeah, they were big pockets too. So Milton.
Who would think pockets are political? But I'm telling you, pockets are a symbol of our enslavement. Pockets are political. You go get yourself a pocket, girls. Okay, go ahead.
Milton has sent us this. Actually, gender-neutral pronouns can change a culture. So he says this. Wait a minute. I want to make sure I've got it all here. So this was the real test. Would native speaker Swedes, 7 years after getting a new pronoun plugged into their language, be more likely to assume this androgynous cartoon was a man? Oh, I'm not seeing the cartoon. Okay, a woman, either, neither. Now that they had a word for it, a non-binary option, would they think to use it? And they did. Not only did the Swedish speakers use the non-binary option to describe the, let's face it, non-binary human, but I guess so it's just it's a representation of a person, right? But in other surveys, they deployed the hen as well as han, but the feminine hon too, to describe people in stories when their genders were not specified. Now, it's true the researchers don't have a comparable test from before 2012, so this result is, whatever he says, merely suggestive. Still, though, this word has no biological associations. It's from scratch, and it's performing the way some proponents argued it would. These language changes can nudge people in directions some folks find worthy. Yeah. This is the implicit promise of letting people choose their pronouns and of having some of those pronouns be disconnected from gender. I was thinking about this the other day, and I can't remember what set it off. Can you imagine? What do you mean? I mean, most of our lives, we lived in a world in which you were either a man or you were a woman. We do now know that there are lots of in-betweens and neither here nor there's.
But that was right.
And
never
yet
true and uncomfortable
yes,
for a lot of people.
Can you imagine? So now we're becoming aware of how many people didn't comfortably fit in that you're either this or you're that. But I do understand if you are somebody like me who was born into a body that feels, even if it's not J-Lo's body, that feels like the right body, that if you're a cis person born into a body that seems like who you are, then it is hard to imagine what it would be like to not quite feel either male or female. And some cis folks need to be better at trying to imagine that.
Right. Just because you don't feel it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's been, I've struggled with it. I'm getting better. I have someone very important in my life who definitely fits into this in-between thing. And I've watched them struggle. And they have told me about the struggles of being supposedly a woman but always feeling like a boy. It's hard to, we used to say, she's a tomboy, maybe, but maybe she was not quite a she. And I don't know. It would make sense that with
It's like everything else.
Yeah, it's complicated. Just think of the fact that there's billions of human beings in the world and billions of other animals and insects, and that there should only be 2 categories that all of them fit into is laughable if you understand the complexity of nature.
And it's never, ever, ever been thus. I mean, history is rife with, celebrated sexual ambiguities.
Yeah.
It's been there forever.
Yeah.
So to suddenly be surprised and say it's unnatural, it's really?
Oh, boy. Kurt, writing from Palm Springs, says, why do women need pockets? You've got purses. But then he winks. He gets it. We've got purses because we don't have pockets. He says, I'm in Palm Springs. Where's Susan? She's in Rancho Mirage, right next door.
Right next door. I'm around, not carrying a purse. I just get so tired of purses cause back problems. They cause they make you carry around more stuff than you need.
Well, because you fill them up.
They are something to forget. They are something to lose. They are something to spend money on.
There are something when you want to find something in it, you can't. I know. Women of the world, unite.
Go ahead and find your keys in that great big purse, or find your glasses in that bag, or your telephone. You know the telephone is in the purse. You hear it ringing.
You're the one who told me to buy this
minutes.
purse. This is that Coach bag you told me to buy. About 100 years ago, unlike you.
I don't carry a purse. Why you got 100 years ago?
Look at it. It's chewed up. Whatever. Anyway. Suze, we're out of time.
Well, listen to me now. Throw out the Coach purse. Get yourself some pants with pockets and wear a fleece with pockets, and you're set. You don't need anything. You got your phone, you got your wallet, you're fine.
I sometimes will stick my keys in my bra. I stick things.
Ow.
No, it's nice and round. No, it's a fob, so you just stick it in there.
I know. When I stick things in my bra, they fall out the other side.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, you. Thanks, Suze.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.